But for me, it usually starts with an intention and with a prayer on some point, not necessarily before I sing or write music, but on some point that I really feel there's like a desire to create something for a specific topic or emotion that has come up. And then I try to get into a space of no thinking. So yeah, I like to have my eyes closed so I can just feel the sound. So it's a lot about listening, conscious listening, and a space of relaxation, allowing, trying out, especially songwriting. It's trial and error until it feels right. So I don't follow any, I don't know, I've never Googled like how to write a song and to follow certain structure.
Good.
Like song, I don't know. It's like an intuitive thing. Like I try it out, I put the chorus there, I repeat it 2 times, I repeat it once. Sometimes I don't even try out, I just do it and it feels kind of, when it's complete, it clicks into place. And especially with singing, yeah, there's no real right or wrong, but it's definitely like a meditational process. So like whenever I feel it doesn't feel right, then it's like, then I'm not relaxing into it, then I'm judging it or trying to sound like someone else or something else or like me in the past. So it's about curiosity, I think, to stay curious because it keeps evolving.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Hannah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Thank you. Jeremy.
Okay. So, so for the noise behind, I'm just in a restaurant waiting for my friends to come in 1 hour, and they're all musicians. They're gonna come over here for having dinner together. So I just went here earlier so I can see you and can be with you and be with them in 1 hour. Anyway, so compared to Hannah, who's a composer, singer, songwriter, I'm just a channel. What I feel when I'm doing music. So I don't know if I can answer to that because everything I'm doing is from my heart. When I sing, when I chant, it's just sharing my heart. And that's for me just a channel, a way to share myself when I just play some music. So you can just ask me the questions so I can tune in to what you really want me to channel, to say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's pure channeling from the heart, Jeremy, right?
It's yeah, only this.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't compose. I'm just playing songs that I've just been hearing in the radio. I was like, oh, I like this song, and then I just nothing
Mm-hmm.
magical. Just playing.
So what you're saying, Jeremy, is that you feel the music more than you hear it, yeah? When you like something, you just feel that you like, yeah?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And then I make my own soup with that music that I can hear. My own composition to create a new version of it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
When I'm singing, when I'm in a state of full chanting, I'm in pure bliss when I'm in front of like people can be 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, or whatever. It's just like it's only pure bliss.
Mm-hmm.
We can barely hear you,
pure bliss.
Jeremy. We can barely hear you. So a little bit like, yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Is it better now?
What pure bliss?
Is it better now?
Well, yeah. Much better. Now we can actually.
Okay.
Hear.
Sorry for that.
We could just feel you.
So I was just saying that. I was just saying that. Oh my God! I just received a call. When I'm just chanting and singing, it's just a place of pure bliss, just happening, chanting and singing. Anyway, yeah, that's it for me. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you, Jeremy.
Cool.
Beautiful to hear.
So for those who don't know what Jeremy is doing, he's holding absolute pure heart gatherings and chanting mantras and doing it all in Bali and online and everywhere he goes, and bringing people around the sound together, you know, just to share heart. So super. And playing harmonium.
Yes. Hannah is composing music, also performing in Bali. And I mean, when new compositions come from her, it's a rare time that we hear it and we don't have tears in our eyes. So it's really, really super touching and true and beautiful. And we have Anne. I don't know if Anne, are you up already? Do you hear us? Anne has just joined us. Anne is another beautiful person that works with sound, and it's in a different way. Anne is actually, well, maybe Anne, you can explain us what you are doing with sound.
Well, that's quite a big question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like I'm channeling elements, sun, earth, vibrations, frequencies, updates, activations, and I think one of my special gifts is kind of restructuring, rebuilding, kind of the resurrection energy, the whole energy body. So, yeah, it's difficult to explain in words, but maybe the vibration of my voice will tell something.
Yes, we will ask you during the session
Exactly.
to actually put that example and that we hear it.
Yes.
Yeah.
We will get to the, actually what we want to do is to get to the different ways that the sounds affect us, and we will ask you to show us this when we get to that point, because it's impossible to explain in words. Yes, I agree.
And it's remarkable, so remarkable as effect that really we would like to feel it.
Anyone else who would like to share how they create music? Yes. Yes, Sylvia, please.
Thank you. There are many ways. Well, I'm blessed to have Jay as my partner because he lives in music and he's constantly creating music, and he's offering his music for me to enter whenever I feel entering. And it's still a process for me. Sometimes I'm just shying away from it because it feels too big. Or sometimes I just don't feel that I have space within that construct. But when I feel that I have the space, then I'm just tuning into it and being there. So sometimes just it sounds like toning, or it sounds like humming, and sometimes words are coming. And I'm noticing that more and more, actually, not actual words coming, but like a blah blah language. So there are some sorts of a sound creation, but it's not really a language. So I'm kind of like creating a language. And then I have some clients whom I've been journeying together since a long time, and with them, sometimes in a healing session, it just comes out that actually we need to go beyond words, and then there is this toning or this sometimes very tribal sound comes up, and sometimes very, let's say, higher dimensional stuff comes through. But it's always surprising. So I'm just kind of feeling like the channel for sound that would like to come through. And yeah, still kind of finding my way with it. and trying. I used to want to learn it so much that I was kind of signing up for courses. I felt that I'm not educated enough for this, and learning more and more to let that go, that actually it's maybe better not to be educated, but just really allowing it to flow through. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. Thank you, Sylvia.
Thank you.
This is very,
It
very
is,
close to.
you know, so I've been like in the classical music education for many years. Like when I was a kid, then, you know, all this music theory is always present. And of course, my experience is that it helps to a level, but it's also a prison. So on a different level. And it really took years and years. I think only now I'm actually opening up for being able to transcend that prison that was imposed, you know, like way of thinking that was imposed throughout the years on me and my making music. So you can consider in a way to be lucky that you haven't been exposed to the brainwashing of how it should be. You see, that's really, really interesting. And another thing that Sylvia brought and we want to cover on this session is creating music with lyrics and music with just music and voice. So our voice is amazing musical tool, and just music vibration coming from the voice is completely affecting emotional body and the energetic bodies and things that have nothing to do with the left brain. It's like a right brain activity. Lyrics, words start imposing the left brain stuff. And then left brain is much more limiting because those words actually always transmit only concepts. There's nothing that the words can really fully explain. Words are associations to meanings. So, okay, there are different levels. So one level is word, it's a signpost. It points to the meaning. Meaning is how the brain understands what the signpost refers to. But the third level is really embodying that meaning for real. So there are like 3 levels of depth until we get to something that is close to what words wanted to say. So it's a very different processing going on at the same time. So if words are able to stay open enough and ambiguous enough to allow for the soul to actually get that real meaning that is not in the words but behind the words, then they can add. But the pure connection to the upper realms of vibration have nothing to do with words. So it's really depending on which level we want that music to work.
Well, if there are words, if a song is composed from a poem, so poem is already pretty much abstract expression of a feeling through words that are not necessarily describing anything. So sometimes, you know, the most popular songs, if you look up the lyrics, they don't make much sense. Yet we absolutely adore, you know, how it sounds, and we might take just 2-3 words that stand out. So the more abstract the combination of words, the more space it leaves for the feeling to be expressed. The more descriptive it is, well, the more it's locking into the understanding of the words and diminishes the energy that goes behind.
Brazilians will know, Thai will know the song Águas de Março that have lyrics like that. É pau, é pedra, é fim do caminho. Resto de toco sozinho. It's like complete abstraction. Means nothing, but means a lot, like because it's open like that. But okay, yeah. So this is Sylvia really inspired me to go into this first. But actually, when we talk about how the sound affects us, there are 4 basic ways in which sound arriving to our being affects us. And it's interesting when playing with, when listening to the music, to kind of get your bearing how and what is actually happening. So 4 of them are: the first one, that it actually affects us through physical resonance. The second one is that it affects us through emotional resonance. The third one is that it affects us through the intention. And the fourth one is affecting us through the belief. So we'll talk about these 4 and give some examples so that we can have this big picture, what the sound is doing, whether we meant it or not, yeah? So sound healing actually is based on one of those 4, or combination of these 4 levels. So the physical resonance is sound healing through the actual sound compressing the airwaves, and those airwaves are actually entering into our body, and they are actually arranging our body from less coherent to the more coherent state. Of course, if the music is harmonious.
Mm-hmm.
So harmonious sound actually raises the harmony in the body from more chaotic to more harmonious state. Of course, the music that has chaotic elements, for example, we recently saw a beautiful sound healer and musician who pointed out that he said, I apologize to all of the guitar players, but in heaven, there is no distorted guitar sound. It doesn't exist. Why? Because in heaven, there is no distortions. So this completely doesn't exist. It's the sound that lowers coherence.
Mm-hmm. And it's not only the sound that you can hear like a melody. It's also something that emits the vibration.
Mm.
For example, a cat purring. Like who doesn't love a cat purring? It doesn't sound like anything particular. It doesn't sound beautiful or anything. But we're all like, ah, because guess what? The cat's purring is within a range from 20 hertz to 140 hertz, which actually corresponds to anything healing bones and muscles and ligaments. So we all melt when we feel the vibration of the cat purring, and its whole body is actually emitting like a circular waves of frequency, which we receive, and our body is so happy to receive it. Then our mind is saying, oh, I like it. But what do you like really? You can't describe what it is that you like about a cat purring.
Mm-hmm.
But your body recognizes it and takes in that frequency and fully is able to absorb it.
Cats.
Well, speaking about the cats, because I love cats, and we just got a new little black kitty that's purring. So it's so cute. But the other thing that cats do, they meow. And when a cat meows, the cat has studied the human to get the most horrible, like brain-piercing pitch. Yeah, and there's no way you cannot hear it or you can ignore it. In no way. It's the same pitch as the sirens, police sirens, or a newborn baby crying for food. So it's unbearable pitch, and that is also a frequency, something that you cannot ignore. And the cats have somehow tapped into that frequency to get their needs met. Yeah. So
well, cats meow just to humans. They don't meow among each other. So this is the cat's way to actually communicate to humans.
Yeah, to order humans around, precisely.
But more interesting with purring is that cats, among other, are one of the animals that actually see the etheric world, and they actually see energetic unalignments in a person. So if cat is really connected to you, she will come, position herself exactly where the energetic unalignment is, and it will heal with that purring sound. It's really, it sees, we can just kind of indirectly see those, unless really highly tuned, but it sees.
So that's about the sounds that don't have a melody that
Here's
you can.
another example. Another example of that healing frequency are these Tibetan bowls. Yeah, so they actually emit the 7 frequencies at the same time, and they go to. Oh my God! It is totally kind of going through the body and actually adjusting the frequencies. And I have a video that I wanted to show you is so you can see actually what happens when the sound is emitted, how the matter is actually arranged.
Yeah, so these are the waves. Yeah, it's not about hearing them, it's about your body perceiving the sound of the ball, a vibration emitted by the ball, by the cat, or by any sound at all that comes to you is analyzed and taken in by your body, and arranges it in a coherent or non-coherent way.
So here's a little video that actually illustrates it much better than any words that we can say. Are you seeing this? No? Seeing? No? Wait.
The human voice can also be made visible with a simple apparatus. The various vowels show typical characteristics.
Okay, so I don't know how to share a video. Good. Well, I will then send you this video I will send you this video later on in our group on Facebook to see. But the point was that the guy was actually singing the tones, just like single tones with his voice, and they put on the flat surface like the powdery material that started to form itself into the beautiful mandalas exactly the same time as the voice is sang. So this shows that like how the matter conforms to the vibration that is being sent. So you will see it when you are seeing it on the video, how beautifully coherent these geometries are. Yeah.
So at the same time, the sound emitted from any kind of should it be engine or voice or Tibetan ball structures the water. It structures the water that is within your cells. So when you feel good after the sound healing, the good part is because the water in your cells got structured. From non-coherent, it became coherent. And for you guys musicians, if you really want to enhance your sharings, you can ask people to bring a bottle of water, and everything that's shared during the sound healing or concert or kirtan or anything can be saved in the water with a purpose, and then that water can be consumed after to really get the vibration in the body, or it can be shared with someone who didn't have a chance to hear it.
Yeah, so this is going well. Our body is like high percentage of the water, something like 85-90% water. So whatever happens to water happens to our body. So all of these levels, so this was just the first level of physical resonance. All of these levels get infused into water, and you will see actually how. So when we put the right intention, we can collect amazing amounts of energy through the, well, there you go, cymatics. That's right. This is, cymatics is a science that actually shows those vibrations in the water, and that kind of shows this effect, how the water is structured through sound. I have a video now, unfortunately I cannot share it, with the research where actual frequencies were found to decompose and destroy cancer cells, and this video actually shows under the microscope how cancer cells are being decomposed by applying these frequencies, and I'll give you the link so that you can see it as well. So of course that the industry that produces and makes money out of selling cancer treatments don't want these things to be shared publicly, and they are doing everything to destroy that research. We know that whole story. So the guy who had started this research, his name was Raymond Rife, and those are called Rife frequencies, and Rife frequencies are actually well, killing viruses, killing bacteria, like destroying, decomposing cancer cells and so forth. So this I will share as well. So this is physical resonance, yeah? Physical resonance, it is when the sound physically affects matter. The second thing is emotional resonance. And emotional resonance, we all know, higher emotions are inducing higher states of being. Health can be defined as highly coherent energetic state of a person, whereas illness is a low or chaotic energetic state. So higher emotions are produced by the music that has beautiful harmonies, and when you listen to the music, whatever associates you and gives you the emotional uplift, this is actually healing for you. And this is the chart of emotions and their resonance. I will include that later on in our group as well. But interesting to know is when we talk about emotional resonance, is that emotions can go only so low. So, you know, when you start, like, neutral point is somewhere around between desire and anger here. Anger is already a little positive because it makes you, gets you
alive.
out, yeah, alive and out of depression,
alive.
yeah? But it goes all the way down to fear, grief, apathy, guilt, and shame. Shame is pretty much okay. And below that is zero. Zero is frozen in fear. So it cannot go less than that. So it's a finite end. Now when we're frozen in fear, well, that you cannot go lower than that. It's very non-beneficial state to be. But uplifting emotions can go infinitely high and then go up in octaves, pretty much as music goes in octaves. So octaves of emotions is, for example, if you look at the emotion of gladness, its higher octave is happiness. Its higher octave is excitement. Its higher octave is joy. Higher yet octave is bliss. So these, and then higher yet octaves are octaves of angelic feelings that are above our octaves, and that's where angels roam and live. So
that's why it matters the author of the song, in which octave was, in what emotional state, and which octave was present in his field while composing or performing the music. So that will give exactly the bandwidth that will switch the receptor in the same, by the law of resonance. If it's emitted in a higher uplifting state of emotions, the listener will magnetize to that bandwidth. if the intention was of low emotional value, well, the listener will feel that too, and enter in resonance, because the music is a crucial element of resonance between people and, you know, their emotional states and physical states. So if we like music, we can immediately click together. So Jeremy, when he starts his kirtans, whatever he's singing, he's
Or
just
Han.
emitting the wave of his excitement. So people magnetize and resonate with this excitement, and everybody turns out into a joyful group. If someone with self-righteous and with pride is singing for his ego, well, people are listening, but they can't get the connection. So they hear beautiful thing, but they can't get an emotional resonance as a group if the performer is not in that right emotional state.
Here we come to the actually question of whether is ecstatic dance uplifting or damaging. And this is really what makes all the difference, is what is the music that is being played? With what intention has music been composed? Has it been composed by the musicians who are actually looking to compensate some of their lacks, to get, I don't know, sexual fulfillment, or, you know, or from the place of anger, or from which place the music can compose? Because the music can even sound good to you, you know, like especially it has these beats that actually uplift us. But you can imagine when we get in a trance-like state and open ourselves up in that state, all of that emotional vibration that was encoded in music by the person who wrote it gets infused in. So maybe you all know some experiences of ecstatic dance that we really had fun, but then we can come back home and we're exhausted. And if you're exhausted, that means that a lot of different stuff has been infused into your energy body to process. So you are unwillingly healing the person who has made the music, but because the arrangement of healing has not been made, you're actually paying their karma. So it can be very, very dangerous to be involved in these, well, any shamanic experience. We can say that ecstatic dance is a shamanic experience with shamans that are not clear themselves. So, okay, let me see some questions.
But if the person who is leading the dance, for example, has a higher level of consciousness than the one who composed the actual pieces of music, the experience can be ecstatic indeed, because the body responds to the beat and takes it in on a bone and muscle level. And the emotional charge that's coming from the author of the music, or the performer, or the one that is holding the field for the dance to happen, will determine what will be everybody's experience on emotional and physical level at the end. The body will enjoy because it responds to the beat, the primal beat, dancing around the fire,
it gets,
shamanic drum beat. Our bodies are tuned to the beat of shamanic drum. That's an obvious truth, because it's all coming from the heartbeat, the earth pulsations, and the shamans have long ago figured out that exact rhythm that shifts our states of awareness and consciousness from one to the other and induces the trance. So the way body reacts purely to the beat is one thing, but how your emotional components react to the overlays that come on the top of the beat, that is the question that you need to examine. And if you feel good about the beat but not good about the overall feeling after, you have to rewind back and say, so which component was not at the highest state of bliss? Was it the DJ, the music, or you know, where is it?
So super important for everybody writing music is to be in completely neutral and beautiful space of as high emotions as possible and as high as spiritual space as possible. So like some of these higher emotions are love, 500, joy, and this is based, by the way, on the book Power versus Force. I forget what the writer's name is. Love 500, joy 540, peace 600, and enlightenment between 700 and 1000. So Thai wrote that she loves listening to Tibetan monks chanting. Well, these guys are chanting from at least the place of peace, and probably some of them from the place of enlightenment. And that's what they are encoding in their music. That's what they are transmitting. Whereas some of the ecstatic dance music that I've heard, you know, but the problem is some of the songs are good, but then they mix some super aggressive thing, and I cannot like disappear myself at that moment. I'm already open, and that one song ruins the whole experience. And actually, literally, you can imagine that you get infected by that. It's like soiling the soul. So it's super important who is a provider, who is the DJ, from which place they are playing music, and from which place the music has been written. It's what we are actually in the process of doing is making a song list that is pure, especially the ones that deal with lower chakras. That is always questionable. From which place is it, like unaligned sexuality, or is it divine sexuality, or is it completely neutral, just rhythm for the sake of rhythm? This is the most questionable part usually.
And we took part in a workshop that explored actually the music and the beats through the chakras and emotional bodies, and it was amazing how, for example, my body severely reacted to African drums, and it was not about the drums, but it was about that the person had cropped out the tribal beat from like actual ceremony, thinking that this is cool, this is roots, this is super authentic. But actually that super authentic was encoding some African voodoo ceremony, you know. So I had to recover for several days from being infused with you know, African voodoo ceremony, jumping around the fire, where actually the same thing can be provided from a different space with a different purpose. So intention behind the performance is super important. And as Hannah said, that she's in a mindless state when she downloads the songs. Well, that's why we feel it with the heart, because it has been composed from the heart and delivered from the heart. So there's no great mystery there. It's just coming infused with the highest emotional state possible, and it works.
And the beautiful note here by Amber that she's always associated frequencies with colors. Yeah, actually, when we look at the continuum of frequencies that come in sound are from 20 hertz. I'll make a mental note to post that chart for you guys as well. From 20 hertz to 20,000. This is, you see, our senses are actually filters, because around us there's infinite number of frequencies that are coming in, and some of them can enter and interact with our body because we have those little doors that are almost like frequency bands through which they enter. So ears allow frequencies between 20 and 20,000 hertz, and then there is a certain stop, and then there is light frequencies, and you know that it starts from like ultraviolet, then violet, blue, all that, red to the end, and then infrared. Actually, from infrared, this is lower, to red and this spectrum here, to violet, ultraviolet, and then we don't see them anymore. And then there's gamma rays, alpha rays, whatever. So through the eyes comes one level of frequencies, through the ear another, but this is the continuum. It's actually just in between. We didn't have a sense to get them in, although our body gets it on some other level, and we can develop subtle senses that actually get and understand and feel those other frequencies. But yeah, beautiful note that the frequencies of color correspond to the frequencies of sound. They do, yeah. And Julie says that it's David Hawkins. Yeah, Hawkins that wrote Power versus Force. Thank you, Julie. Yes, exactly. And the mouth, food frequency. Well, exactly. The mouth has a little bit different frequencies. Those frequencies are actually more chemical, but it's a little different sense than the sense of eye and the ear. It deals with detecting chemical processes, but yeah, it adds to our picture to the world.
Mm-hmm.
So this was about emotional resonance. Yeah.
Yeah.
You wanted to add?
Well, you know, when you feel good, you can dissect what you have heard and what was behind it. So you can make your own little understanding dictionary of sounds that what they provoke you, and it's very useful because sometimes we haven't been educated in understanding sounds properly. So we just go about it intuitively. I like, I don't like, I feel good, I don't feel good. But if you understand this mechanism of intention behind the music and so on, and how it ties also why people keep listening to their songs of their young years, you know, whatever they might be, why they like that better than the actual music of now, is because it's charged with emotional state that you were in when you were 18 and in love and dancing and full of life and vitality. That's why people stick to their preferences of you know, emotionally charged and beautiful years of their lives. So that is to remember. But now, in my eyes, one of the most important moments to understand about the sound, we're speaking about sound and music because music is made out of sounds, but it's really, we're looking at the sound level. How can you, through the voice or simple word, it doesn't have to be even a composed song, it's accessible to everyone, how to transmit emotions and feelings through a simple word. The way you say it, the way you offer the words to the world, and how they carry actually the meaning. And we'll probably show a little visual.
This is about the intention.
Yeah, about intention.
Okay, let's
a little visual element, how you can understand better how the sound carries the intention.
So physical resonance and emotional resonance with these two. Now we go to the third level, and third level is actually the sound healing with through intention. And that intention is extremely powerful. And because we don't directly see it and perceive it, we actually are not aware how super powerful it is. But intention is what we can infuse in music to be its function when it's delivered to someone. So for example, I'm writing a piece of music and I'm putting an intention, may this be highly uplifting and healing for everyone who hears it. And with this intention, I start working. This is actually adding the frequency of intention on top of sound waves. So you can imagine that the frequency of intention travels on a platter of the sound waves and it gets delivered to everyone who listens to the music. And this is what intention does, and it is super, super powerful. For example, if you have a friend that is maybe sick, ill, or in need of recovery, you can infuse the piece of music with frequency of recovering from into the healthy state to the person, and actually gift that piece of music to someone, and it will be super powerful healing piece of music for them. So
it can be the music or just the words. You can also call the person who is in need of emotional uplifting and program yourself saying, may my words heal, may my words uplift. And you'll speak in a slightly different tone, or you'll have a different color to what you're about to say. If you add that intention, that will travel on the back of the sound waves.
So
going,
here's how
going from your mouth to the person's ears, or going from the piece of music to the person's ears.
So here's how we can actually illustrate how it happens, why the intention travels. Yeah, I'm going to first kind of give into words, and then I will draw it. But for example, imagine that you are standing on the lake, yeah, and there on the lake, you're in the lake and the boat passes. So the waves are bouncing off of the coasts, and then there are these waves that are coming to you. And imagine, so you have these big waves like that. And imagine that now you are dropping like a little pebble into the water next to you. So they're like the small waves that actually go from you where the pebble has gone. So now there are these big waves that are actually meeting with small waves. So what you have is something like this. So the small waves traveling up and down the big waves, yeah? And these small waves traveling like here, and here. So the small waves traveling the big waves is how the intention is being transmitted to the recipient on the sounds of music. So pretty much like the waves go like this, the big ones, but then the small wave vibrates and goes up and down, up and down, up and down. And that is the intention that reaches the person.
Mm-hmm. So this is the Tibetan monks and the Thais' prayers, where they pronounce sound or vibration carries a strong intention. So what you're receiving is not the words, you're receiving the intention behind the words. The same words can be pronounced with by someone mechanically, and you'll feel nothing at all. So it's not that much about the words, but about the state of mind, emotional state behind it, and intention that's on the top of it.
And Anna is saying that all that we're talking about goes with painting and colors as well, exactly the same thing. Absolutely, because intention through the painting is the same like this, only it doesn't travel on the sound waves. It travels on a little bit more higher up waves of light. But the same, this intention that has been added is still much finer than the waves of light as well. So it travels on top of the waves of light, exactly the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. So Lisa's saying that in biofield tuning, that the receiver doesn't even need to hear the sound of voices and tuning forks to heal, all through intention. Exactly. So we did a little experiment. There's a beautiful sound healer posting things on Facebook, and so she has amazing voice. She looks amazing, and it's so beautiful. But if you look at that same person and you don't hear her beautiful voice and toning and everything, you still receive everything that she's emitting. So it works through subtle senses, but the ears and eyes are conveniently convincing the brain that something beautiful is happening.
It's actually really interesting, because now this happens through the level of belief. And that level of belief is the least understood one, because really how the physical laws operate for you is based on what your beliefs are. So why this works, you know, that the sound has not even been heard, but the healing has been sent and received, is because the practitioner believed that the intention can travel through quantum waves, and it doesn't need to include sound waves. You see, it's really how many levels of destruction do you need? How many levels of drama and little story do you need to understand that you are a divine being? And that you can create as God by just projecting the intention instantly. So we have been conditioned through all these layers that we talked in previous teas to not trust that level, to not believe that level in order to be exploitable, yeah? But the more that we actually focus and open our beliefs that it's possible to do things as divine does, well, it becomes possible. So the healing at the distance becomes completely possible. It's important what the recipient believes, but what's even more important is what the practitioner believes, because this is what actually sends, that overrides the lower, like the higher vibration overrides the lower ones, and the frequency of healing actually arrives.
Yeah, so I'd like to add a little nuance here. So Tai is saying, but then to work, the person must want to be healed. Yes, so look how it works, and it's very little but very important detail. So if the practitioner, Lisa, believes that the tuning forks create a field, and she has all evidence that it does, so she totally believes in a biofield tuning. Someone else believes that the painting does the same, someone else believes that the music does the same. The important thing that you really, really believe that it does, yeah? And then from your belief, you in a way make the other person, the recipient, believe that in this way he can receive the healing energy. So when the therapist or musician and the person receiving the healing both believe that they're in a healing process, that's where the channels are open for exchange and the magic can actually happen. If the singer, for example, believes that he's channeling divine energy, and people come and say, no, I'm skeptical, I don't know if these things work, well, they will be less absorbent to the transformation. But if, and here comes the important detail, if the one who believes that his voice, his music, his performance, his paintings are healing, if it believes to the bottom of their hearts, their energy of believing in it will really penetrate even through the strongest non-believing energy that they meet. Yeah, so that's the overpowering of the energies. It's cool when it's equal, when the receiver also believes that it's receiving a healing energy. That's very cool. But if Lisa absolutely believes that biotuning will heal the person, her belief might be even stronger than the disbelief of the one receiving it. So that's the little point.
And there is, yeah, that's, I would add another thing that to that question.
Yes, exactly. So one who is connected to source is more powerful than a million who are not.
Exactly.
So and this is how we can bring people who are in resistance because they just don't know, they're cautious. We can bring them in experiencing the higher states of consciousness, because they do override the lower ones. They magnetize the other person out of their lower state into the higher. And this is where people say, oh, I've never felt anything like that. I've never heard something so beautiful. And they grab the heart and they completely eyes wide open, because they've been magnetized out of the lower place by the provider's highest intention. But it has to be rooted in the joy and peace. And
all the way. Remember that the range of low vibrations, low emotions is very limited. It's from here down. Everything else from here, not to the end here, but to infinite, is the range of higher vibrations. So it's totally going to overpower this little unalignment here for people. That's why when you have an ascended person in a room, they're just sitting there and people get completely like healed out of their lower states of being by, just being in the presence of a person like that. They don't need to even say anything. Yeah, and to that end, it's actually interesting maybe to speak about that coherence of who is going to like your music or your art. And whatever you share, actually, if I mean, it's always wrong to try to please anyone else and to try to do something for somebody else's taste, because we cannot guess, or we shouldn't guess where people are when we work with that direct connection to the higher source, and just use our own liking and our own excitement as a hint of our higher self that is actually discreetly pushing us in the right direction. Then actually who is going to like the piece of creation that we make is the person who resonates on approximately similar levels of frequency as us.
And they will like it instantly, fully, deeply, and completely. So when the industrial music is created almost out of algorithm of beat and catch and tune, etc., well, it doesn't stay. Those are things passing through, and one after the other. Nobody knows who sang it. Nobody knows what was it. So trying to not be yourself to reach most people will not work in a way that it's missing this ingredient of a strong personal belief in what you do. So even if your specialty of toning, like Anna, is so super like focused and not mainstream, but the ones receiving it, if they're attuned to that same let's say level of consciousness, the healing will be almost instant. The receptivity will be total, and you'll not have to convince anything about if it works and how it works. So keeping it really personal and following this authenticity, like Sylvia shared, that music, but how, and listening and following that inner excitement, that is exactly the right way. Because Sylvia, maybe you will not be able to be the diva of the opera, because maybe it's not even your thing to be that. But if you find how through your unique blend of voice and intention and who you are and personal experience, the sound comes through, it will speak to 10, 20, 100 or several hundreds of people, but it will speak instantly, deeply, and without convincing in any ways. Yeah. So that authenticity is actually what gives the strong energetic resonance for the sound that is coming through.
Connects really beautifully to this next question, Amber. What about computer science or manual sounds? As in music writing, I'm sure there would be a difference. Yes, there is a difference, but here's actually how to look at that. Computer sounds could be, that you have samples, and then you also have the ways to make to stop the computer sounds yourselves. So more that you can connect yourself to a musical device and you create it out of your field. For example, using pretty much pre-made sounds in factory, you are bringing the field of a person who made them. Just like what we said for the other things. So what you need to do if you want to use computer sounds is to actually make them yourself from the place that we described before, from the place of full alignment. And in addition to that, today's synthesizers have amazing possibility to be controlled with, for example, breath controller, or to be controlled with controls that actually interact with your feet, with your hands. So like add one controller to one hand, another to another, both to the feet, and like add the breath controller and make it as human as possible. And it becomes a new instrument that is authentic, just like all the other instruments that existed before, because technology brought this, and this is collective, human achievement. In that way, you can use computer sounds as, completely part of your creation. So if you use something that has been pre-made, and especially if it has been sampled, like what Evia shared. Imagine somebody sampling a voodoo ritual, and now you're going to use this rhythm. But also it could be that somebody has just thought, oh, I hate this job, but I have to program 20 more sounds. So you're getting that hate into your music. So if you use electronic instruments, make your own sounds. Take the time to learn it, take the time to make it your own, and it becomes extension of yourself. And then you are creating out of the divine inspiration. It becomes equal instrument as everything else.
Mm-hmm. And I will share the experiments that we've been doing since December of healing through the sound and water. And we're having beautiful results, actually. So in the December last year, there was a kind of outburst of flu, of some virus going around, and some people reached out. For example, they had kids that had incredible fever in New York, and we're in France. And they're saying, "Oh, can you do something? Because it's really the poor kids. They're just burning alive, and nothing helps." So we designed the sound that actually. So we're measuring which sound corresponds to what emotional and physical state. So we designed a combination of sound with Tibetan bowls and the computer generated frequency. It's just a pitch. It's not a melody, it's just a pitch. But combining the computer generated pitch at a very precise frequency, like really even 0.5 hertz, that fine tune, because that hits the exact, let's say, frequency of the virus that is inhabiting the body. And then adding the frequency of Tibetan bowls, which has overtones and work in completely other amazing ways. We combined a little soundscape that's not too big. It doesn't even have to be long or anything. 10 seconds of that particular combination of sounds infused in a water in our place. Yeah, so we have a bottle of water, 1 liter, that contains that particular sound. The person on the receiving end has a glass of water, and we send the intention from our charged water to the glass of water over in New York, where the kids drink the water, and not even an hour later, they peacefully sleep the whole night. And not even 2 days later, they're back on track. Yeah. So, which means that the power of a pure frequency, a live body that produces the sound, a live body meaning your body, or a Tibetan bowl, or, well, guitars maybe to some extent, but like a live material, flutes, something
without
organic.
Distortion.
Organic material, not electric guitars, no. And crystal harps, bells, anything that's organic, right?
Yeah, like Balinese bell.
That produces the resonance, because we're actually looking for a resonance, because what computer doesn't provide is the resonance. It does not provide resonance because there's nothing to resonate within. Resonance is a space, a hollow space in which the sound actually bounces and creates those waves. That's the resonance.
Something just came true that I feel is really important, connecting to Amber, your question. Computer for creating music should probably have only that function. Because imagine getting all those horrible news, by like somebody trying to, just think about that. News together with creation music or keeping it pure. So a computer for creating music should not have any other functions. It just dawned on me. I haven't even thought about that before.
Mm-hmm. So you see, the computer is good for the pitch and the specific, isolating specific frequency. So we have mapped several frequencies that actually produce a very specific, like, surgical effect. and we encode it in water, and through the water we can transmit it to anyone, anywhere in the world. So those healings are quite amazing, because it acts on the virus, it acts on a physical body, on an emotional body, and very quickly the whole illness actually gets flushed out. And especially children that are very receptive and very kind of fast to regenerate. And we have also isolated a number of frequencies that can act on alcohol. It's like a virus, so it's difficult to say what it is, but it is an energetic state that provokes this dependency on alcohol. And that too has a specific set of frequencies, which are 3 very different pitches. They don't sound nice, actually. If they're played, they don't sound good. Yet, the energetic state of someone being dependent and being played these frequencies at actually dissolves the energetic dependency state. Then for it to actually resolve and change the dependency on alcohol, they would have to have 21 days of just water infused with that frequency. And that would completely take away the dependency on alcohol from their body, because that energetic state would have been just dissolved by those combination of the 3 sounds. And the major discovery that we made, well, for me personally, it was absolutely amazing, that what is the most healing sound on earth? We've tried it all. We've tried every possible instrument. We've tried songs, sounds, cats, birds, anything. We've tried it all, and so the result is pretty amazing. That the only one thing that heals a condition, energetic condition, for example, like a spell, anything at all, any condition that is there, what heals it in 10 seconds is the human voice that pronounces certain words that include joy, peace, and love. Yeah, you can just sing from pure intention,
but we can
with
actually
pure
sing
voice.
joy,
Well, we have
and
people
love,
that will sing.
joy, peace, and love. Yes, dolphin clicking. We will add this.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
so a human voice from the heart singing these 3 words, there's nothing more powerful that we could find for anything. Other things work, but it takes more time. It's not complete. It's this or that. And from the commercial songs or songs that we can play, that exist, we have tried it all. Beautiful songs, powerful, anything. And actually, the only one that purely worked, besides some of the classical, Beethoven had Bach had a good healing potential, but it still took longer.
Bach had the potential because his melodies are actually birds singing, transcribed for piano.
So Bach worked to some extent, but the one song that worked instantly was Amazing Grace. And Susanna, like,
yeah.
The words in this case actually worked better than no words.
Yahweh is very, 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 very charged.
So that is in our discovery, that proved that the human voice resonating through the chest, providing the layers of frequencies and vibrations, plus adding the intention behind, charged in the water, there's really almost nothing more powerful than that. There's no other frequency generated by whomever that can be more powerful than you just saying in the water good words, and then
Joy, peace, and love.
Joy, peace, and love, and then drinking it or giving someone else to drink.
This is, if we talk about us humans healing. But Anna adds, how about dolphin clicking? Well, dolphins, like cats, actually completely see our energy field. And they just, okay, say, oh, look at this human. Okay, so she needs to click, 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 click here and here. So it kind of creates this mandala that just blasts away and at one moment realigns everything and then goes on.
Mm-hmm.
So dolphins, cats, some of the animals can do it much, much better than us. They don't have a... Oh, yeah, there you have Daniel. Is this cute there? The healing cutie. Yes, beautiful.
Oh, and so for the dolphins, they actually in Bali there's a center where dolphins actually interact with autistic kids, and those kids they're brought to or kids with mental disorders actually, and the kids are interacting with the dolphins, and dolphins just stay with them and provide the field by sending this the clicking, sending the vibration to the kids, and they interact on the brain waves of the kids. And the kids, some of them actually manage to get out of their mental condition altogether, and some of them hugely improve. And this is a very recent research. It's completely experimental, but it works, and it has proven to be efficient for many disabled kids to align their brain waves to something more coherent through the dolphin sounds. And it doesn't work with just listening to dolphin sounds. It takes their presence, because it's all about this resonance through the water where the sound is sent to the other body.
Mm-hmm. And of course, Lisa, also that's their talking. Yeah, they do. They interact. It's really on which level we want to see those beings. We can see them. Of course, we are not condoning any exploitation of animals and those super inhumane ways in which they are being kept. But on some level, we can understand that they have been actually among the chosen ones to raise the group consciousness of the whole planet. And mm-hmm. They came in order to, kind of sacrifice themselves. Okay, this incarnation, we will incarnate on Earth, and try to upgrade those people and other beings there to the higher frequency, so that we can finally become part of the Galactic Council. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, on that level, it feels that they have higher purpose than that just what we understand.
We had a chance to swim with dolphins this summer, and so the procedure is like this: you jump very quickly in the water, and you have a mask, and you see the dolphins passing next to you and under. It's in the middle of the sea, so it's very brief but very powerful. And in one of those encounters, I saw the group of dolphins swimming by, and they were emitting this sound, and I literally cried in the mask, underwater, because it was such an overpowering bliss and happiness. Hearing it was hearable through the water, that specific dolphin sound. The clicking is their way of communicating with each other, but that sound that they emitted just provoked a wave of bliss. And I literally was crying in my own mask, hanging out there in the middle of the sea. It's powerful and irresistible.
Yes, Lisa, and totally agree that it's their frequencies, not necessarily the sounds that we hear. It's much wider spectrum, and their presence. Another time last year when we were in presence of dolphins was in Azores. We kind of went on this small boat, and towards the end of not practically seeing many of, we wanted to see also whales, but wasn't able to. And then we got to this pod that had literally thousands not hundreds, but thousands of dolphins. And that was totally amazing.
Well, it was amazing to the point that they created a field where every single person on the boat just dropped the cameras and, you know, in complete kind of surrender to the beauty of the moment, they couldn't even photograph anything anymore. They were just taken by, you know, literally people standing with tears in their eyes because of the field the dolphins created around us, and so many of them. So yeah, if you have any chance of getting close to dolphins in any possible ways, it's to be experienced
in the humane way, yeah, because we know that they are unhumane way as well, and nobody wants to support that.
So maybe we can hear some example of a human resonance coming from Anne. Would you?
If that's aligned, Anne, we don't want to impose.
If you feel like, because it's really, you know, from dolphins to Anne, it's the same principle of channeling the sound, however it comes, channeling the sun, channeling anything, and it can also be infused in water. So we've been actually aligning and hexagonalizing the water. So Anna knows all about it. And it would be wonderful if you grace us with example of how that works.
Wow. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, good. Thank you, Lisa. Oh, wow. Okay, let's see what comes.
Thank you. Wow. Wow, this is.
So guys, I think you probably could feel it in the body, and you can share if you felt it,
and especially that Zoom doesn't matter, because part that arrives through Zoom and kind of gets distorted. It's all about the intention together with that. So actually, so amazing. Thank you. Well, me too.
And Julie also does the same kind of channeling elements through the voice, and adding it in a specific moment, bringing down galactic frequencies.
Thank you.
So it's really, I guess it's difficult to allow oneself to just produce sounds, because there's so much judgment and kind of mental constructs around how it will sound, and is it in tune, is it what? But if you manage to break through and allow the sound to come out just as it wants to come, it's really allowing the divine to
use you as an instrument.
To use you as an instrument, so you become the instrument the divine is playing on, and it's beyond beautiful if you can allow it.
Thank you, Tai. Exactly. Tai says this is superpower. I had to open my eyes because the sound was so amazing that I thought it wasn't humane. Thanks, Anne. Yes, really, thank you.
Yeah, so the superpower is actually you moving out of your way, moving out of your own and divine's way to be played through.
Becoming an instrument of the divine.
Yeah, and if you want to grace someone with the higher states of consciousness, then just command any word. May my words heal, may my words be a blessing, and may I uplift the world through what I say. You can do it at any level of where you're at now, and if you choose to do it through music, it really basically takes first to allow your voice to flow the way it wants to. And then you'll see the miracles happening in your own body and in people around.
So I think we can open it up for some questions if you guys have comments, questions. Julie, before we finish, could you also on Facebook put the steps to infuse water with healing sounds?
Yeah, so this particular case, we're still working on it. This particular case for the viruses, we have developed the water for actually dissolving the viruses, so the body actually recovers then within a couple of days, because it doesn't have the virus frequency anymore, because virus is an information. It's not a thing, it's just an information.
But I think
so we dissolve it.
I think Julie's asking just like an alchemical process of infusion. We can.
So if it's for a purpose, then we actually need to make sure that we have the right frequency that matches the outcome. It's like crafting a medicine. We need to know what are we crafting it for. It's not super universal. So if you want to craft a sound for something, for a specific purpose, then you have to take the purpose and measure the sound until it hits the right match, because it's all about the frequency. If you have this cancer cell here, it might not work with something here, but there's one precise point, as we will share in the video later in the Facebook group. Watch that video. It's amazing how the sound actually dissolves
the cancer cells.
So it's about the precision, really. But the procedure
is alchemical procedure.
Is a pretty straightforward, yeah.
And I think actually this could be something, well, that, yeah, it's not something we can write just the steps, but it's something that we can show you when you're here. And this could probably be part of also what we offer in our course. So, but we will show you when you're here. It's not just the steps, yeah? It's actually getting into the certain states first, and then from that states acting. It's like really alchemical operation, yeah? So we'll show you. We'll show you how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's open up.
Phone call much more powerful than SMS or text. Yes, of course,
yes.
Because it carries the sound and really.
Mm-hmm.
So for this purpose,
Mm-hmm.
talk. If you have something nice to say instead of sending it, because the intonation, no SMS can actually translate the intonation.
Yes.
And that resonance of the voice that that comes along.
Yeah. And also the voice over voice and video, yeah, so that we can also not waste our time and energy and attention looking, but just hearing. That also adds more precision of kind of transmitting the inner state. But anyway, we are getting running out of time a little, so let's open up for any questions, comments, anything that you might want to add or ask. A very silly question: is there a way to make our voice more harmonious?
Yeah. I firsthand can answer this question. The voice is non-harmonious when we judge it. You know, just stop judging the voice and it will become just what it is, and allow you know, to get your voice to the point of harmony. Make it as awful as possible to begin with, like, you know, scream or speak in a distorted way, make it like a cartoon character voice, squeak it, tweak it, and let it do something really non-aligned. When you are alone, you don't have to do it with other people.
Although we would like to see it as well.
and then at some point, when those mental judgments will have been, you know, removed, because how much you can judge it after all, and then your voice will just flow as it has been designed. That's it. And you allow it to flow, and when you learn to not judge how it is, how it sounds, or how others might sound, when you have no questions or comments about your voice, well, that's when you will perceive it harmonious, because everyone else already thinks your voice is harmonious.
But especially put that intention. Say, let
in the head.
Let the divine speak through my, sing through my voice, and then no more responsibilities on you. Literally allow the higher source to come through you. Lisa. We don't hear you, Lisa. We can hear you. But you are unmuted, but we still don't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. Just with Sylvia saying at first, it's just so powerful to be able to step away from yourself. And like you were saying, Victor, about, you know, when you grow up in that classical environment, around judgment, around the constraints, and having been there myself, the constraints of being judged, having to perform and be given a number and a first, second and third place. It's just very destructive. And I think with the biofield tuning girls, you know, we go in and we set intentions of using our forks, and quite often, more often than not, our voices come through. And when our intention is to serve the highest purpose of the person or the collective field or whatever it is that we're tuning, that, like with alluding to, when we're serving the higher purpose of something else, we cannot be in judgment of ourselves. and that truthfulness that comes through in the sounds that come out. It's like we write to each other and it's like, oh my God, these incredible sounds come out because you are there for the highest purpose of whatever it is that we're whatever it is, the intention that we're passing, passing our voices and the forks through. It's just this power, the power that comes through stepping away from your self-critic into that, and it's not even a truthfulness of channeling, or it's just the expansiveness of the honesty that can come through with this voice. It's so incredibly, and it's everybody. It's like I remember with Anne, who is just the most incredible person on, oh my God. And it's like, Anne, can you just step away from yourself, because you have to do this for the world. This isn't about you. This is about the world. But taking that step away from you to serve the world. It's so thanks very much, guys, and thanks and Anne, thank you so much. It'd be nice to hear the other guys and your voices too. Excuse me. I've got heaps of water here that wants infusing. I want to drink you all.
Yeah, Hannah is absolutely amazing as well, and she has shared in the chat here the link to her YouTube channel, and I will also share it in our group, both on Facebook and on Minds. And I don't know, Sylvia, can you share somewhere? Is Sylvia still here? She is, yes. Can you share a link in the chat where we can listen to your music? And then I will add it also to the Facebook group. And Jeremy is already left, but we'll see if there's something where we can access his. I know he's now doing some live kirtans. So this is what can be accessed as well. And
that authenticity and being judged is so Anna's daughter Mila, here she is in the background. So Mila is starting to play. She's 15 years old as of very recently, and she sent us little songs that she plays with ukulele. And
come, Mila, let us see you.
She has an amazing voice, and well, she didn't know that she has an amazing voice until we actually said it and repeated them and actually acknowledged it, because self-judgment at any age comes and cuts the authenticity.
But
like, so when you're 15 years old and you have an amazing voice and amazing potential,
the quality that came was like, we couldn't believe, well, is this coming out of my niece? Like, this is super, it's like professional sound. And it's like, also, it's like a black jazz singer. It's like, is this my little niece? Like, it's like this, beautiful, it comes from past lives, I'm sure. And it's really, really, really amazing. And black being the real, people who are born with the sense of music in their body. They cannot fake it. It's like, they so heavy, they're so like wired with it. It's amazing. It's beautiful, beautiful sound.
But so guys, like, please empower every little kid that is authentic. Please do say that they're amazing. Do kind of, show them the other part, and do get them out of the mind constructs, notes, judgments, first, second, third place, all this that you mentioned. So do encourage every little thing trying to be authentic, to stay and be authentic. It's super, super important, because it takes way more effort to become authentic years later. So encourage kids to be themselves, and encourage anyone who is on the way of being themselves to just stay that way.
Anyone else has a question? This is Alexify Music. This is Celia, great. And Jive, I suppose, yeah?
Yes, I told you years ago.
Anna wanted to say something.
about
Yes, Anna,
singing.
go ahead.
Just do it.
Yes, you're unmuted.
Can you hear me? Huh?
Yes.
Well, it's so interesting hearing all this, and I'm amazed how it is really has everything to do with what I'm doing this week with colors and painting. It's so unbelievably the same thing, and I would like to show you, if you want, my painting from yesterday, made that way, really with the intention of stepping to this new energy, heal the beautiful new world, and creating it like really from being in that specific and state of being, and then just letting synchronicity do the most of the work. So can I show you to see how do you like it? Can you see it?
Yeah. But also send us a photo, and I will put it on the group so we can see the bigger picture.
Yes, I will. And yeah, it was yeah, it feels like some new and right way of doing things, because at one point it just started to flow, and 4 paintings just came out yesterday night, and I was like, wow, did I do it, or what happened here? You know, what happened here? I like this, it's great, it came so easily, and it feels so right, but I'm not really sure what it is. So listening to you explaining the process now all the time, I saw that it's the same thing like when Anna is singing, or the other guy, and just being there and playing and being in the right mood and with right feelings, and then let it happen.
Yes, exactly.
There is one thing that's important there. So it's really calling for the divine to bring on the inspiration, and they will bring it through your higher self and infuse it in you. But there is a trick. The trick is, if you have called it in, you absolutely must manifest something with it, or you will never be trusted again. You will be deemed not worthy of divine wasting any more time on, like, you know, kind of putting it through, because you have kind of said, okay, well, you know, I'm not gonna do anything with that inspiration. So you'll need to earn this trust again later on in order to get it more. Otherwise, there is abundant, never-ending fountain of inspiration always on, that is able to be heard when we are in peace, when we are not like overpowered by emotional states, when you're not like, oh my God, I cannot pay the bill, oh my God, my boyfriend has left, oh my God, this or that. But like with real inner peace and the devotion, listening to the divine voice, there is abundance of inspiration going on all the time, waiting for us to tune in.
And why is it very important? Because from an energetic point of view, inspiration is really a divine energy that's given to you. So you have to act upon it as a priority over anything else. If you have an inspiration, well, then create, because that energy has been given to you. If you don't act upon that inspirational energy, then not only next time it will be more difficult to receive it, but also you'll have to really kind of work to get it get it back.
You have to earn it again.
Inspiration is this energy that makes things effortless. You can do it fast, everything flows, the right people come and connect. So it is actually the easiest way to proceed in life. So don't underestimate it and don't miss on it. and use it for your and everybody's highest good. Mm-hmm.
And for one more thing, for the painting, also the same thing like you were saying, Victor, at the beginning for musical school. It is so difficult to forget all the university, teaching about how you should draw, about colors of, it took how many, maybe 30 something years to not forget, but not to use that, but to use something else.
Yeah, the schools probably mean well, but they are very, very, very damaging because they impose those structures and they create very precise robots.
Yeah.
So yeah, but this is the best that they can come up with to actually break through inability to immediately play with your fingers on the piano. So yeah, it costs quite a bit. Any other questions? Yes, hi.
Actually, it's not a question. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I just want to make a comment and thank you very much for sharing, Evie and Victor, and of course, Anne. That was really nice. And I've been a bit more sensitive to sounds and music lately. And when she was when she was singing and doing her things, it was quite surprising for me. I was with my eyes closed, and I was like, I had to open my eyes, as I said, and I closed it again. And after she finished, I felt this very strong heat on my Sahasrara and run into my Ajna chakra. And of course, during the while she was singing, I could feel like on my Anahata chakra as well, like on my chest, and it was very intense. And I usually have these feelings when I'm listening to the Tibetan monks, the chanting. I think it's quite interesting, and I have these very interesting bodily reactions, and sometimes it's just like this energy running just through the right side of my brain and the vibrations in different parts. So it's quite interesting, and I thank you very much for this opportunity, and it was really interesting to see it. And I'm looking forward to hear Hannah as well, and Sylvia, I can remember, so I'm gonna check their links as well. Thank you very much.
Yes, well, thank you. And well,
can I ask one more question?
Yes.
You were talking at the start about with the intention of the provider of the music, and specifically around ecstatic dance. So with the intention of the person behind the music, just say that person is using something amazing like a didgeridoo or a sitar, or gongs. Those instruments, the sacred sound of that instrument, does that totally negate whoever it is sitting behind strumming the strums or blowing the blow, if you know what I mean? So you'll get the healing from the didgeridoo regardless of the person sitting behind the didgeridoo?
No, not at all. All the instruments are actually a potential of healing. But the actual healing happens when a healer actually interacts with instruments. So yes, they can carry a certain amount of, like this bell, yeah, it was made by specifically like sacred people who make bells. But if I am using the bell from the place of anger, there's no level of sanctity that can actually make this anything healing at all. It will, if anything else, be even more efficient channel to damage other people. So actually that's why magical tools are not widely available, because they amplify whatever your field, spiritual state and emotions are, and they would be super damaging in the hands of unconscious person. Same goes for didgeridoo, for all the instruments, because the musical instruments are instruments of magic as well.
And that's why actually it's very good to check if you like sound of someone who sings. Well, check the person. How are they in their real lives? Are they happy? Are they harmonious? Are they balanced? Are they inspired? You know, check the lives of who sings. Otherwise, you know, if you listen too much to Edith Piaf, then you'll become depressed at some point. So always the person behind actually counts.
There is really demarcation line. Until what time are we going to be listening to the music that associates us to the lower three chakras and the life on earth and life of, like, you know, hardship and trauma? And at what point we're going to take off and kind of say, okay, great, we had enough of these experiences, let's now connect to the divine and only deal with this, or mostly with that. So at that point, all the Edith Piafs and all of the sad stories and like this primal trauma, all that stuff becomes, okay, we'll leave this behind. We don't need this anymore.
Yeah. So for the 5G, we don't have a clear,
not a clear picture yet, but it certainly is an instrument that has an access to damaging set of frequencies that can be turned off and on. So it's going to depend on an operator as well as other instruments. But, you know, it's like having like radioactive material in your hands. You can kind of use it or not use it depending on what your purpose is. So it's a weapon. So what somebody's going to do with that weapon is up to the people, the operator of the instrument.
And about the Reiki, so Reiki, the energy actually transmits through the combination of hands. That's why they say the intention doesn't matter much. But again, it works just to some extent. It's not the most powerful way to transmit energy or to heal. It's a way, but the most powerful way is the intention, because that's where it's spontaneous and it's directly channeled for the precise reason that you're asked to give it. Voila.
Okay,
so,
dears. Very, very, very beautiful to share with you and to see all of those beautiful inputs and faces.
Activate your beautiful.
Thank you.
Select
Thank you.
Careful with whom you're dancing, to which music you're dancing. Yeah.
Create your own.
And make music. Yes, make music and sing, please, and share it.
And if you have anything to share with us, we're so excited, and you're more than welcome to sing and tone. And we're actually very good receivers, because we're so sensitive to music, so that you can test your voices and sing songs and singing on us.
No, not testing. No testing.
Yes. Okay, dear ones. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Sleep well, Lisa.
Yeah.